Welcome to the Team Real World radio show on 107.3 FM.
WBRP.
My name is Maurice Velasquez.
And I'm John Shirk.
And we are Team Real
World.
Good to be with everybody. This radio show is where we discuss all things business, management, leadership, and team dynamics. Our slogan is simple. It is real problems.
Real solutions.
And really fun. Somebody told me the other day, they were listening to the radio show and asked me, hey, what do you think about it? I said, man, you guys laugh too much. Well, we wouldn't be true to our slogan.
Yeah.
Otherwise, our slogan would be real problems, real solutions,
solutions,
and really boring.
Yes, really very boring.
Yes. We're not your typical consultants. All right, so before everybody over here is waving at me, I need to make sure we say this. Our website is www.teamrealworld.com, and our phone number is 225-772-4357. You can find us on Facebook. Just type in Team Real World. You can also find us on LinkedIn, type Team Real World, and you can also find us on Twitter. So please follow us and stay in contact with us. Today we have a great show.
Yeah.
We're going to be talking in very specific terms about the whole idea of training.
Yep.
And why traditional training does not work, and how in the world does Team Real World do it differently.
Yep.
Because at the end of the day, if you're gonna start a company, if you're gonna be something, you got to be different.
That's right.
Okay. Now that could also be a problem.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Because if you're doing something different, you might be doing it the wrong way.
Right.
You know. So that's what we're going to talk about. And so we are glad that you're here with us. And so I just mentioned the thing that probably gets the conversation going whenever we're asked, what is it that you guys do? You know, and we normally say something like, well, you know how traditional training.
Describe that, Maurice. Describe traditional training.
Well,
so the listeners
whatever
know what
it
you're
is, we don't do it that way.
Yeah.
Okay, let's just say that up front. Okay, traditional in our opinion. Okay,
Yeah.
Okay, and you know,
there's some data behind this too.
We I think we could argue it from a data boring side. No offense, John. There we are laughing again. From the data side, it's interesting how in the training world something's happened. Mm-hmm. I mean, somebody sold somebody what we consider a bill of goods.
Yes.
Okay, and here it is, right here. Here's your typical traditional training: 1-day sessions, long manuals,
Big, thick manuals.
So
Yes.
lots of PowerPoint slides.
Yes.
Okay, an instructor.
Content.
Yes, lots of content, and the more content we can give you, the better. Now, just make sure that you try to not let folks know that it's really boring by creating some type of cheesy stuff on top of it. Mm-hmm. You know, and then hopefully that cheesy stuff, what we call Febreze, or better yet, Lysol. Yeah. Okay, let's Lysol the boring part about it. Okay,
yeah.
And so whenever we talk to companies about, look, we're a training company, the looks we get, man, or we're a consulting firm. It's people usually don't go, oh, that sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah,
it sounds like, well, tell me something tell me something else.
Right. Right.
I think one of the funniest descriptions of consultants, you can find it on www.demotivators.com. John, we have got to buy that poster.
Yeah, I know.
We have to put it on. I mean, we do. We really got to buy it, okay? Because we constantly make fun of ourselves this way, okay?
Yeah.
It's a picture of two hands, two guys, and shaking
like
hands,
in business suits.
like in business suits.
Yeah.
They're shaking hands, making a deal. And at the bottom, big letters, it says consulting. Okay, and the fine print says the art of continuing the problem so you can continue the invoicing. And at the end of the day, I mean, that is so much the perception. I was having lunch with somebody and they asked me what I did, and I said, well, we do consulting. And the look I got,
he looked back and said, I don't have a job either, right?
That's right. That's right. And then I said, no, actually, it gets better than that. We're also trainers. That didn't help.
Yeah.
Because I was making a point. And she pretty much said, okay, well, I had heard there was a little more excitement about it.
Right.
And I said, well, that's the whole point. Okay.
Yeah.
That's the perception. If you're listening, you've never been to our training before, you've never been to our sessions, then we think that the perception out there is a very common impression that is very boring. As a matter of fact, we ask our attendees early on in our sessions,
right,
as part of the icebreaker. to share with each other and share out loud what is the one thing they hope we don't do in the workshop. And man, the feedback we get on that, isn't it? Isn't it amazing?
Oh, you can tell that they have seen and experienced some training that they do not want to experience again.
Yeah,
and they're hoping against hope that maybe they're not going to be totally brain numb by 30 minutes from that moment.
Tell me again the one that you had, the experience that you had. I think this is classic.
Well, because, in any given training, if it's going to go really bad, it's going to go in two directions bad. One is going to be so left-brained, intense, content-driven that everybody goes brain numb fast.
Correct.
Or it's going to be so Xanadu, let's all hug, let's all hold hands in a circle and dance while somebody plays a guitar, like this totally off the deep end.
And let's call that teamwork.
And let's call it team building.
Team building.
So here's my worst ever experience being in the training.
Just to make sure, if you just tuned in, that's not us, okay?
Right,
just for those of you that are kind of scanning through the radio, okay, that's not what we're saying we do.
Right.
Okay.
So my worst experience is at that second extreme. And again, this is where I was a participant, not the trainer.
Sure.
Just so you understand.
Sure.
So it was a training on it was on executive coaching actually, but the person said that the trainer said it's important that you learn how to connect with people if you want to coach them one-on-one.
Okay.
And so she said, so here's the exercise we're going to do. Turn to the person next to you and scoot together close enough so that your knees physically touch their knees. Now, in this case, I didn't really know the person I was next to very well.
Right.
Also happened to be female. We'll just factor that in.
Yeah,
she said, okay, now that your knees are touching, sit up, like, posture-wise, sit up and look directly into their eyes back and forth while I play this song. The lines of which were, I'm inside of you and you're inside of me.
Oh, man, we should have gotten a clip for that song, John.
This is
That's
almost
bad.
Certainly the most awkward experience of my life.
That is. On the other extreme, of course, the one we don't quote make fun of is the one that everybody goes to. Okay, it's the boring one.
Right.
Okay,
That
one. What that normally looks like is an instructor or facilitator just turning the pages in the manuals.
Yeah.
Next page. And I told you of a friend of mine who was looking for a computer class. And our company, we weren't able to help him because the date wasn't good.
Yeah.
But then he told me that he went to a competitor.
Uh-huh.
Remember that?
Oh, yeah.
And so I saw him, and I said, well, how did it go? He says, well, it was pretty good. I said, great, but I could tell something was wrong,
Right.
So I said, well, what happened? He said, well, I got there, and there was nobody else in the class. I said, so wait, really? That's awesome.
Yeah.
You got the instructor
all day, one-on-one?
I asked him, did they keep the whole? He said, they kept the whole class, just me and the instructor. I said, well, that is awesome. And they didn't charge you any more money. He said, no. He said, so you got Learjet service for coach prices. He said, well, I don't know about that. I said, what happened? He says, well, she took me through the whole manual. I went, no. He says, yeah. And about an hour and a half into it, I realized I didn't need half of the manual. And she plowed her way through the whole manual.
Wow.
And I was like, man. And then he made a comment. He says, that training was probably the most expensive I've paid in a long time.
Interesting.
And,
meaning what? Because if he was paying coach prices, what?
Yeah, but he sat for about 5.5 hours of material he did not need, and he couldn't do anything about it. And he was the only one in the class, John. Now, see, that's what just shocks me.
Yeah.
Okay, that the trainers and training companies put people through this. And what we find, please tell me if I'm wrong. Okay, try not to be so mean to me, mean when you do in the air. Okay, but that a lot of companies don't have any other options.
Yeah, they have not prepared their trainers in order to make changes on the fly. So when they don't do what we do at the beginning of a class, which is we use what we call a parking lot, and we start the class with how are you going to use this material?
Right. And so that's how traditional training is done. It's either very boring, very non non-tailored. Why?
Right.
Because we have 7 people from 7 different companies. We can't tailor it,
Right.
Because we have a published outline. Or the other side of the cheesy. It's so cheesy that so how in the world do you mix the two to where it's enough fun,
Right.
and yet enough business to where it's worthwhile? That is the difference of how Team Real World handles things.
That's right.
On the back end of the segment, we'll get into the different dynamics of what that looks like and what you should expect from trainers.
Right.
Because I don't think we're going to say anything different that really is the standard. It's just that the market has gone perhaps the less challenging route. Let's just say that.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, so, well, great. Come back to us. You've been listening to 107.3 FM.
WBRP.
Let's get into it. Get stoked. Get it started. Get it started. Get it started. Let's get it started. Let's get it started.
Welcome back to the Team Real World Radio Show, where we discuss real problems, real solutions, and we make it really fun. You're listening to Talk 107.3 FM.
WBRP.
And we are back. Thank you for joining us. So that's what traditional training is about.
That's
For
right.
those of you that just joined us, we talked about how traditional training usually doesn't work very well because long sessions, very big manuals, lots of content, lots of material, and the data is evidently and overwhelmingly clear.
Yep.
Okay, that the minute people walk out of that room before they drive out of the parking lot, they have already forgotten 40% of it.
Oh, yeah.
By the time they get back to the office, they've forgotten about 70% of it.
Yep.
And the 10% they retain, they don't find applications for it.
That's right.
And so you lose it fast, and over a period of 2-3 weeks, the training is gone.
Yep.
Why? Because there was no way to capture it. It was not delivered well. It was not delivered in a way that that the data was retained in the brain.
Yeah.
It didn't find practical application. And I think probably the number one thing is that type of training assumes that a one-time event is what's going to make the difference.
Right.
Right?
Yeah, that's right.
That is exactly the opposite, 180 degrees than how Team Real World approaches both consulting and training.
Correct. Yeah. When someone goes into a one-day training, there's an assumption about how a torch is going to get passed, or a baton in a relay. And
Right.
somewhere in that training is content, and the idea is that training is somehow going to make it back to application at the desk of the person who's attending the training.
And that the behavior is going to change, or an attitude change is going to take place, right?
Something,
Yeah,
something.
something's going to...
Either there's an
Right.
increased proficiency, or there's some new something is going to happen because of the training.
Right.
Right. So the challenge with the traditional approach is that the torch gets passed at the end of the training day. And that person who's been in the training, who has not had any opportunity to really integrate it into their work, is now on their own to take it back. And they may, think this was a great concept of this training, but they don't know now how to apply it.
And I find that a lot of times that's more real when it comes to professional skills.
Oh,
See, if you're just going to an Excel class and you learn how to interact better with the file menu, how to click file save as, it's only you and the computer.
right.
So the chances of that being retained is a lot better.
Yeah, and you're using your hands.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
You're but when you get into professional skills, in order for you to be able to say, yeah, I learned something,
Yep.
you're going to have to go back and deal with humans.
Yep.
And if those other humans did not go to the same training that you went to,
Yep.
then the fact that you're trying to implement different things will make their bad behavior or their opposing behavior even more noticeable.
Yeah.
So it works. It's very difficult to implement.
Well, with those professional skills in particular, here I'll make a somewhat academic sounding statement. The most important act of instructional design for those professional skills is a defined work process.
Mm-hmm.
The instructional design is not the manual. The instructional design
Right.
is creating the routine for, let's say, a business meeting, creating a structured routine that gets repeated again and again and again, because out of that repetition comes proficiency.
So, for example, let's apply that.
Okay.
If we're gonna train, if a company's gonna train another company on how to have better meetings,
Right.
okay, then the best thing that the trainers can do is think about how to create that environment in the training that simulates
Exactly.
the real world awkwardness.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
And then practice the solution at the training so that the person sitting in the room can say, I can relate to this.
That's right.
Okay, so I can relate to the awkwardness because I lived that awkwardness. So we're going to do it differently here.
Yep.
So it almost becomes half and half academic and half practical.
Right.
But I think we'd probably have to say it's almost 30-30-30. 30 academic, 30 practical, and 30 fun.
Yeah. Yeah. Then 10% breaks.
See, that's why I didn't go into math class. It's just like my PowerPoint. I have 3 points to show you, and I have 6 slides. 33, 33, 33.
Yeah.
There you go. That's
Yeah.
it. Okay.
Yeah.
But it's the ability to have the conversation in a very engaging environment.
Exactly.
So the 4 things that we hold to very dearly as the values of our training is that it's got to be relevant.
Yep.
It's got to be real. We
REAL.
REAL. It's got to be real. It's got to be relevant. It's got to be engaging. Okay. It has to be applicable. That's the key.
That's it.
In other words, you have to present it in such a way to when they walk out, they can put it to practice very quickly soon thereafter, so that the L becomes true, the L of real, that it becomes long lasting.
Exactly.
Okay.
I mean, imagine that you wanted to learn more about playing golf. You wanted to really improve your swing.
Well, here's what you
And
do. You
so-
go to a one-day class, and there you go.
I mean, can you imagine that working on any level? I mean, you'd go to a class and you'd sit in a classroom
but the
and have them
but-
teach about golf.
But
I mean,
John, the flyer says master the skills of golf in
that's
this
right.
6-hour class.
Yeah. I mean,
Well, should I expect to be able to go to a 6-hour class and master the skills of golf?
it seems so ridiculous, right? Listeners, why are you doing that now with business meetings and professional
Right.
skills? And what makes you think that this is any different?
It-
Is harder, swinging a golf club or interacting with someone in a business environment with real results?
No, he didn't say take out the golf club in the business.
That's
meeting,
right.
okay?
Yeah. Yeah. That's a different training.
So the answer is that effective training has to take place in small bite sizes on a recurring basis.
Yep.
2 hours every week,
Yeah.
1 hour every week,
Yep.
2 hours every 2 weeks. It has to be what we call reinforced, repetitive. We call it a rhythm.
Yep.
Okay, so of course we at our company we do offer 1-day training sessions and we do offer 2-day training sessions. Okay, but we use those as the beginning phase of the ongoing training,
Right.
Because in bite sizes is the only adult learning model says that adults learn better in smaller segments of focused information rather than large blocks of time with lots of data.
Exactly.
Now, you know why I think the training industry, why it regularly does the whole 1-day thing?
Why is that?
Because look at the manuals they use. The manuals they use and the manuals that they're licensed to use by Microsoft, by companies. There was a company a while back called Element K. They're the ones who provide the vast majority of the manuals to training companies. Okay, and they write books that are 1 day long, jam-packed with data. So the training companies, when they set up their training, they're bound by the manuals.
It's driven by the manual.
So it's kind of like, the medical world is driven by the pharmaceuticals. The training world is driven by the manuals. Okay, at Teamwork World, we don't do that. We write our own manuals so that we can set up training in 2-hour sessions and focus on specific things that you need to cover. For example, our Excel class, we don't cover every single feature. We only cover the 16 to 20 major features that 90% of business environments need.
Yep.
All the other stuff, you can learn on your own, but why come and pay top dollar to sit in a class for a feature that you don't need?
Exactly.
A lot of training companies don't have that much control over their content.
Yeah. Well, and I would say a lot of training companies don't train their trainers to adjust. I mean, there's an expectation that the role of the trainer is to be an expert in the content, not an expert at training.
So really, it goes back to what we were saying earlier, that the instructor has 7-8 people in class. It's been an announced outline, and that's the only thing we're going to cover today because I was hired or I was trained to only teach this level.
Right.
And even if half the class needs something else, I am not going to budge from that outline.
Yep.
Okay. That's where it becomes ineffective. Where companies pay a lot of money is not just in what they pay for the trainer. It's in sitting in a class for 8 hours, of the which 4 hours are not applicable.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Right?
That's right. That's exactly it.
So what we do at Team Real World, even if you show up for a class where you're sharing the room with 7 other companies, one of the first things our instructors and our facilitators are going to ask you is what would y'all like to cover today?
Yep.
And open a discussion that is amazing how much, I think every time we do it, every single one of our attendees absolutely loves it.
That's
because
no
now
question.
we're talking about, maybe we don't need to cover tables today, or maybe, look, I do need time management, but I need time management in this area.
Exactly.
And so our trainers are trained how to be able to tailor the class on the fly.
Right.
Even for our open enrollment classes. Now, see, that right there, that's a tall order.
Yeah.
That's a tall order.
It is, because you get a spray of different kind of folks in the class, different places where they're at in their own proficiency.
Yeah, I'm just convinced that's just what you ought to expect from trainers.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
That's what a good training program is.
Otherwise, just go take the manual and go read it.
Right. Right. So keep this in mind. All right. Let's summarize some of this. Okay. Good training ought to take place in small bite-sized sessions in a repetitive way, and it should be tailored as much as possible up front to find out what it is, the expectations that the trainee, the attendee showed up with, and then tailor the class as you go as needed, right?
Absolutely.
It can be done.
Yes, it can. We do it all the time.
And this is where we say goodbye for this segment. Man, time just flies, John.
I know.
You are listening to Team Real World on 107.3 FM.
WBRP.
Welcome back to the Team Real World radio show where we discuss real... John, stop laughing at me. I'm sorry. I was so into the song.
Maurice was eyes closed playing air guitar and then sat up and went, "Oh, we're going."
Our producers are going, talk. Okay, let's try this again. Welcome back to the Team Real World radio show. I love that song. That's a great song where we discuss real problems, real solutions, and we make it really fun. Okay,
That's right.
There you go. Okay, made my way through the script. Thanks a lot, John. All right, so at the end of the day, by the way, you're listening to 107.3 FM.
WBRP.
Man, I botched that one.
But it was a good song.
Yeah, this is why whenever we talk to the producers about saying, "Hey, let's go live with this radio show," they look at me like, "No, you can't even stick to your own script, man." Boy, that would be fun though. Anyway, all right, but at the end of the day, all that we're talking about is totally academic.
Yep.
Right? It really is. We could sit here and say, "Oh, this kind of training is better. Oh, this kind of training is better. 4-hour sessions are better. 8-hour sessions." No, it really is all academic. Okay? Unless we ask the most important thing about training is how do you make it effective?
Exactly. What constitutes effective? What are those results?
What are the results?
I mean, if you're the individual participant and you go to your manager, or if the manager goes to the executive and says, "I really need this training. I want to go to this training." What is it they're wanting to get out of it?
I think that is the number one reason why a lot of companies do not have clearly defined training budgets.
Oh, I agree.
Because they don't want to let go of that money. Because they know it's going to be thrown into the wind.
Right.
It's going to be blown into the wind.
Yep.
And the results are not going to come back. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Having been in this industry for over 20 years, talking to executives after executives and hearing their plight and their opinions about training, it's low. I mean, we're right there next to, I don't know, well, think of whatever profession.
Yeah.
Let's not malign somebody. Let's just say we're right down there, okay?
Yeah.
Because in the training world, we've gotten away with being able to say, look, give us your budget, okay? But we're not going to be able to provide any results or any measurable way for you to know that your $15,000 actually went somewhere.
Yeah,
and executives just
Exactly.
they're not excited about spending $10,000 the next time.
Y'all, listen, seriously, when the executives are looking over training budgets and that kind of an issue, they've got one thing in mind, and they've got almost all day long. How do I take some How do I take some money and turn it into some more money? That's their job.
That's why managers have a really hard time getting training approved from their VPs and their executives, and there's no budgets being allotted to it because there's this vagueness around that.
And I mean, seriously, and if you've been in any boardrooms, we've been in quite a few, the role that is never sitting there at the executive table is the trainer.
Yeah.
The trainers really struggle to figure out how to involve themselves at that level because they don't know how to talk in terms of money and what they're doing.
We get hired a lot of times by companies who are using funds from a different budget.
Oh, yeah.
Yes?
Oh, yeah.
And the training budget is being used by a different segment of the company, and they're not being told that we're in their house doing training.
Yeah, absolutely.
And just think about that.
Yeah.
And that is true because the frustration of leaders is that they know that throughout the years they've spent a lot of money on a lot of training, and it goes nowhere.
Yep.
Attitude doesn't change.
Yep.
Work patterns don't change. Team development doesn't happen. We can't seem to fill in spaces a lot faster. Turnover seems to be the same.
Yep.
And yet we're going to send people to training, and it just goes nowhere. So one of the promises that we make, and it's a bold promise, at Team Real World, our training sticks.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Okay, and we encourage this executives to expect results from us.
Yeah.
And we actually teach them how to hold us accountable every 6 to 8 weeks of anything that we do. Now, that right there is a bold statement. That's what we really believe executives and companies should expect from all trainers and all consultants.
Now, listen, this is going to sound like craziness here, but imagine going to a training with the idea up front of what it is you're supposed to be able to do 6 weeks from now. And they're knowing that at the front end of the training and going actually through a training with an understanding of why you're actually there and what it is you're supposed to be able to do.
Remember, we were with a very large company not too long ago, and we were having this conversation in the middle of this of the training session where we were making comments like this, and one of the CFOs said, "So, if you guys don't perform, what should we do with you guys?" And remember, somebody else in the same room said, "I think that what they're telling us is that we should fire them." And we're like, yeah, if we don't perform.
That's right.
You know, and they had this conversation between themselves, and one of them said to each other, "Now, do our trainers make promises like this?" And the other guy said, "Well, no, because then we'd hold them accountable." That's what's lost in the training world.
There you go.
There's a sense of accountability. If you give us a group of 10 people, and you need to help them become more effective in their time management, when we sit down and talk with you, we will work out a game plan on how we can train them and help us become accountable to making sure that those things stick.
Yep.
So if you're thinking, I'm going to spend $5,500 on sending somebody to whatever kind of training, and you went to the training company's website and you saw the outline, and you go ahead and register and you're going to send your folks, listen, definitely allocate your funds, but don't miss a critical step. The critical step is pick up the phone and ask that company to come talk with you.
Yep.
Because you want to make sure that you explain to them what it is that you're trying to accomplish by spending those $5,500. If the training company simply just takes your money, has your people show up for training, and then does not interact with you about expectations up front and what is all this about, then really, I hate to be, they're just taking your money.
Well, and if that's the kind of training that you want, just buy the videos or something.
Yeah,
I mean,
but you realize, I really think
Yeah.
that's why a lot of training is going that way.
Absolutely.
Because
No
because
question.
there's no difference
Yeah.
between going and listening to a live individual who's not going to be interactive, very relevant, very applicable, okay, or just basically sticking a CD or downloading an MP3 or listening to a podcast,
Or Google
and
it.
I'll learn it on my own. And what's interesting, you look at the studies, a lot of people, it's about 30% of the people that do self-study are actually more effective. Why? Because they listen to that MP3 over small chunks of time.
Exactly.
And we're sitting going, duh.
Yeah.
That's it. That's the
Yeah.
whole thing. That's so at Team Real World, we basically said, you know what? Forget it. We're going to do it the way the market for years has been asking. We're adults. We don't like to learn in large blocks. We'll learn it in small blocks over a long period of time, small segments, small increments, so as to master a few skills and become effective.
Yep.
That's how I listen to podcasts.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't sit there for 8 straight hours and I click play and then just sit there and listen for
The
8
only thing I
hours.
do for 8 hours is play solitaire on a Tuesday because I'm waiting for hump day. Hump day. I'm busy. I'm trying to figure out where this Jack and Queen go. Help. So I hope you guys are seeing. I hope all of you listening, you are getting a little bit of a feel as to the biggest challenge internally, why managers have a really difficult time selling the idea internally that my people need training.
Right. Or
Okay.
even, honestly, I was with a client yesterday, and the client asked me, we were just kind of having a conversation sort of after the meeting, and she said, so in companies, when it comes to training, what's the number one thing that you see that causes companies to not meet their goals? And I said, now, if we're talking about the human level, there's, things like undercapitalization or, there's wrong
Right,
product
right,
in the
right.
market,
Mhm.
those kind of issues. But we're talking about the people. Without question, if it's a company of 500 employees or less, like that size range, which is most companies, without question, poorly or undefined work processes
Right.
is the source of why people are not getting things done, because
Right.
they're not repetitively doing the same things over and over again, so they're not becoming proficient.
Let's highlight that last part. I think it's key, the whole repetitive thing.
Yeah.
Okay. For those of you that are going now, okay, yeah, here repetitive. Let's make sure we define that. We're talking about doing something every week or every other week.
Right.
The most effective, and you'll find this quote on our website, the most effective type of training, coaching, consulting, or people development, listen, managers, is a weekly rhythm of short segments focusing on the content you want to communicate on a regular, ongoing basis, week after week after week at the same time.
Yep.
Yes?
Absolutely.
We have seen it over and over again. Large companies, small companies, big departments, small departments, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
All people skills, computer training, whatever it is.
Yep.
Repetitive, small segments over a period of time is by far the most effective.
Absolutely. And that same thing applies to a team as well. For a team to form a team level proficiency, that they work together as a team, they have to do it together as a team the same way repetitively.
Right.
And as they do that, they will become proficient as a team.
You know how long it's taken us for us not to learn how to do these segments? A long time of repetitive material, and we're still learning.
That's right.
You see how hard it is?
Yes.
See, this is where I'm supposed to now not botch this.
Yeah.
And say, we'll be right back with Team Real World. You're listening to 107.3 FM.
WBRP.
How is
You know you make me wanna kick my heels up and throw my hands up and throw my head back and come on now. Don't forget to say you will. Don't forget to say
Welcome
yeah,
back
yeah,
to the Team Real World Radio Show. And whoever of you out there is not doing the whole hand motion,
That's right.
you better not be driving.
Yeah.
Okay? Because you know you want to do the shout thing here.
Yeah.
You guys should have seen John. I was actually very well behaved this
Oh,
time.
yes. He was sitting properly.
Yes,
and
you are
looking
listening to the
straight.
Team at Real World Radio Show on Talk 107.3 FM.
WBRP.
We love these shows.
Oh,
I tell
yeah.
you, we so appreciate the feedback you guys are giving us. For those of you that say that we laugh too much, we tried to laugh 3 times less
Yeah,
than normal.
we tried,
It's just
but-
tough, man.
Yeah.
It's just really hard. But, you know,
Yeah.
for those of you that seem to enjoy it, thank you for
Yeah.
laughing with us. And what's interesting, let's segment that into the whole issue of training. It's got to be fun, man.
Oh,
It
no
has to
question.
be fun,
No
you know.
question.
And yet it happens oftentimes that whenever we talk to executives and directors, decision makers, and we tell them how much fun it is going to be, they often are concerned that, wait, but is there real business going to take place?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so, of course, we have to balance that, and it usually doesn't take more than 20 minutes
Yeah.
of being in our training whenever you realize there's enough bean bags
Yep.
and there's enough business going on. That actually happened. One executive walked in, remember?
Yeah. Oh, yes.
He was very
Oh, yes.
concerned we were going to be playing around too much.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, yeah.
He walked in, and the session had not even started yet. He had come in. He saw the red carpet. He heard the music.
Oh, yeah.
He
Our
walked
training
in.
rooms don't look like the
All right.
ones that
no,
you've been to.
you actually feel like you moved into Disney World. Okay,
Yeah.
not that bad, but it's a different world.
Yeah, maybe Dave and Buster's.
We actually, that's
Yeah.
what we call it, real world, because you
Yeah.
actually entered. You're coming out of the Twilight Zone.
Yeah.
and you're coming into the
That's
real world.
right.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so he all of his senses were impacted. He saw something. He smelled food. He heard some things. He saw things around the room, and he said it was interesting. We greeted him at the door, and he said, "Okay, I got it." And I was like, "What do you mean you got it?" And he said, "Okay, I see how you guys are going to get to business. You guys are going to have a great time, and then you're going to shift it." I said, and we agreed.
Yeah.
He said, "Yeah, but here's the thing: is we're not the ones that are going to do the shifting." Okay, it's kind of like when you get into a rhythm, when the boat gets in the groove of things, you just ride the conversation.
Yeah.
And it happens. So it doesn't get cheesy. A lot of people's concern is, are you guys going to play that trust game?
Where you fall
When
over
you fall,
backwards
you know.
and everybody catches you. Yeah.
We say, no, we play the forward game where you fall forward.
Yeah.
No, we have a lot of fun, but we very much focus our games, because we don't get into the cheesy stuff where, like you often say, hey, let's pretend to be a bakery.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of training where you sort of segment one, you get some content, and then it's time to do an exercise. So then someone stands up and says, let's pretend we're a bakery, and Joe is in charge of the flour, and Earl is in charge of shipping, and Jamie is in charge of
And
operations.
everybody goes along.
And they kind of play along, and
yeah.
it's like, oh, see how this works? No, that's not how it works at all, because you're not a bakery.
What we usually like to do is stuff like, hey, let's pretend that we're an awkward business meeting. Okay, where
Yeah.
somebody called a meeting without having sent a predefined
let's
agenda.
pretend that.
And let's pretend that meeting got called 2 hours before, and everybody's walking in looking at each other saying,
That's right.
what's this meeting for? And the person that called it is late, and when they get there, they basically wrangle for 12 minutes just to figure out what this meeting's
That's
about.
right.
Now, see, that...
Now we're a bakery.
Now we're having fun.
That's right.
Okay?
That's
because
right.
when you start playing those games, it's amazing how all the
Yeah.
attendees start going, oh, yeah, I can relate to that
And
for
they,
sure.
they start saying, okay, that one is Earl, and this one is Jamie, and that one is Susie.
Or we play this game, okay? Hey, we need you to come and present something to the executive. Let's play that game.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And so we talk about how that little game feels.
Yeah.
Or
Yep.
how about the game where you feel you're being critiqued by all the rumorvilles out of the office?
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
And you can't tell, but there's darts being thrown all around you.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that game.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ooh, there's a game.
That's a good
That's
game.
right. Yeah.
And so we actually play scenarios around real problems.
Yeah.
What's the point of going to training if we're just going to talk about pretending to be a bakery?
Right.
Unless you're a bakery.
That's right. Well,
okay,
yeah,
if you're going
yeah.
to be a bakery, then
Well,
yeah,
yeah,
pretend
that's
to be a
right.
bakery.
But if you really are a bakery, then you're going to go, yeah, at our bakery, he's Earl and she's Jamie.
Right.
Yeah.
Because it's funny. Here, let's apply this even to Excel.
Sure.
People could care less about how to create a pivot table.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
So you don't make a big deal about a pivot table. Okay, you know what they want? They want to know how to present that to their boss
Exactly.
in a quick fashion so that whenever the boss looks at it, says, hey, that's good, but can you turn it this way? And can you give me this data? Because they need to know how to produce that report back quickly.
I have never, and all the times I've taught Excel, and I've many, many times had someone say during the beginning of the class, I need to know more about pivot tables.
Right.
And when I say what kind of report or something like that, I wouldn't say that, why do you want to know pivot
Sure.
tables? I've never had someone say to me, because I'm just curious.
Yes. No, there's a real problem behind every request of a
Yes.
feature.
Yes.
So what we talk to is the problem.
Yep.
And that's what makes things engaging, because people realize, oh, we stepped into the real world.
Yes.
Which is, again, why we named our company Team Real World.
Yep.
Because we talk about real problems, real solutions, and we try to make it really fun. So the
Yes.
games have to be applicable. The conversations have to be applicable. But what's interesting is what we talked about earlier is this whole rhythm thing.
Yeah.
Man, it works.
It does.
You want to, let's say, for example, in your company, you're wanting to enhance the communication style or the time management or the effectiveness of your managers, right?
Yeah.
Or a particular team, 12, 15, 17 people in a particular team. What we normally say, sure, you want to bring them to a 4-hour class, 8-hour workshop. We're never going to walk away from all that, okay?
Yeah.
But in order for it to last long, we would rather say, hey, let's set up a 2-hour session at your site or our site, and let's get everybody into a rhythm.
All of this learning
Why?
all of this learning is so much like we used the example of golf earlier in the show. But if you took a 4-hour session on how to swing your driver and then you just went out and started swinging it, even if you captured everything from the class, you haven't begun to repeat it yet. So you're going to live through this long phase of, I think I'm swinging it just like they told me to, but the results aren't happening.
And what's interesting, we find, okay, is that you show up for 2 hours and you talk about whatever the topic is that was chosen.
Yeah.
The powerful thing is say, we will continue this next week at the same time for 2 hours and watch the attitudes then.
Oh, yeah.
And then come to the third session, come to the fourth session. And it is amazing the things that come out.
Oh, yeah.
The attitudes that come out, the issues that are buried at level number 5 deep, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And the only thing that brings that out is a rhythm approach to development.
Absolutely.
That event happening, that session happening every week for about an hour and a half with the same group of people to continue the conversation of what we were discussing last week.
Yep.
And what's interesting, those people that basically say, oh, this is boring, they're probably the ones that are not engaged.
Probably.
Or the ones that go, this is going to go nowhere. They probably know that they're the ones that are being the stump on the wall. It's amazing what a rhythm process, a reinforced process, what's the word? It just teases it out.
Right. All of the issues that would prevent training from sticking, they get smoked out in a rhythm.
Right.
They just do. Everything from I just don't want to do this to I don't have the right tools to when I try to do this, my boss won't let me to all of that other stuff. It comes out in the rhythm. It doesn't really come out in the one-day session.
Right. The one-day sessions are very good to take the first step of what we have found. We've designed the 7 steps of training. Okay.
Yeah.
And the one-time sessions, they're good for show.
Yeah.
Show me how to do it.
Right.
But then you have to take the other 6 steps. We need to make a radio show out of those 7 steps.
We should.
The first step in training is showing the person how to do it. That's what those one-day sessions are really good for. But that's not yet training. That's simply showing. The reinforcement is what takes you through the next steps of being able to apply it for it to become a habit.
That's right. Those one-day deals are good for creating an awareness, but they do not create proficiency. So when you have to have a next level of competency, you've got to get into a rhythm. Otherwise, all you know is how it's supposed to be done, but it doesn't mean you can do it.
Right. So when you're looking at your training budget, whenever you're looking at your training dollars and the amount of time, think about how to maximize your training dollars by asking some questions of the training company that you are talking to as to how they're going to help you get to some habit creating practices.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
And always be leery of anybody saying, oh, yeah, in one day we're going to be able to take care. And it's going to be great. No, whenever we say, yeah, come to a one-day workshop, we make it very clear that is the beginning of a relationship.
Absolutely.
Okay. So because, the old saying, you can't rebuild Rome in one day. It takes time. But if you do it over a long period of time, man, it's just amazing. We've just found it to be very effective.
Well, and our clients over and over again tell us, I don't mind paying a lot more money to do this thing over time because you get the results out of it.
That's the key.
The value now comes back.
Yeah.
It's just now it's an investment.
And clients tend to expect it, and that's a really good place for trainers to be.
Yeah.
Okay. To know that there's an expectation coming from it. So we invite you to go to our website, go look at our new official calendar of classes. We
absolutely.
have
so excited about it.
Our website is www.teamrealworld.com. We have all types of professional skills training, premier workshops. We have the reinforcement sessions on there. We also have description about our coupon packages, our private training, our consulting, our computer classes. We're very excited about it. So visit us. Look for us on Facebook and stay in contact with us. Tune into our show and give us your feedback. You've been listening to Team Real World on 107.3 FM.
WBRP.